indices, the key indices we'll be looking at are demographics, education, economy, health, climate change, energy, poverty, and gender equality. This project demonstrates the progress that has been made so far in these critical areas. Notwithstanding of that progress, this project has also tried to identify many areas that need collective attention.
Sorry, Abdulhakeem, please, when presenting, I think one of the instructions is that you need to turn your camera on so that the board members can see you, because they'll also be assessing your countenance as well.
All right, sir.
Yeah, and also know that your presentation ends at 5:31 our time, yeah, West African time.
Oh.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll try to do that now. No. Sorry, my laptop is hanging. I'm sorry, my laptop is hanging. I'm trying to switch. Oh God.
Do you have any of your team members who have your presentation so that they can help you out with it while you just speak?
I would be glad if there's anyone that can do that for me.
No, I mean, you should have spoken with your team members now, you before now. So being glad is that you already sorted that out before now.
All right, I'll go straight into. I don't know why my video is not. Can you see me? I've switched on my video. All right.
Hey, before you start, I just want to comment and say, if your video is giving you trouble or it's slowing down your bandwidth or anything like that, please feel free to switch it off so that we can see the presentation.
Okay, I think I can continue now. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So, looking at the demographics of the world population, the total population of the world is about 8 billion, and male to female ratio is about 1.01 male to 1 female. As you can see from the dashboard, 4 billion male, 4 billion female. And in these demographics, we're also looking at the average life expectancy for both the male and female is 73.7 years averagely. And the implication of the life expectancy is a measure, is a very good measure of so many situations in the country or in the world. It tells us about the economic situation of the world, tells us about the health situation of the world, and how it varies from regions to regions. And for male, we have it as 71.3 years. So averagely, the world life expectancy for male is about 71.3 years. And it's worth knowing that this is a particular index that has developed over the years based on advanced technology, putting investment in health as well has also helped, because in the last 20 or let me say in the 90s or in the 80s, in the 18th century, it was really down. We're looking at something like 50 years for life expectancy, and now we're in 2021, and then life expectancy has gone up so well. For female, 76.12, this is the current average female life expectancy. And if you look at this, also on the dashboard, we have population by region, and we compare from 2010 to 2020. And it's worth knowing that East Asia and the Pacific region have the highest population, and of about 2 billion, and then they increase. We have 2.2 billion in 2010, and then in 2020 we have 2.4 billion. The same thing applies to sub-Saharan Africa as well. Population by country, China has the highest population, followed by India, followed by United States, Indonesia. This part of the dashboard is just showing top 10 countries with the highest population in the world currently. And Nigeria ranked 7. So within this dashboard, what we have is also mortality rates. And what is interesting about this is that it has decreased from 2010 to 2019, because that's the recent data that we have, 2019. And if you follow like the future trends of the mortality rate, neonatal mortality rates, that means neonatal mortality rate is just talking about if a woman is pregnant, the survival of the child within the neonatal period. And the neonatal period is about from the time of conception to birth. So, and it varies from country to countries as well. So the ability of it. Also, we have the population growth for the past 10 years, and we can see that the population growth between 2010 and 2020 has not been very significant. For year, we have 7 billion, and then in 2020, we have about 8 billion. So the population increase has not been so massive compared to what we have in previous years. That means countries, regions are looking into population control. because what is important is that population or at a particular period of time might outweigh the available resources. And even developed countries might get to a point where they start struggling with the standard of living. So that's it on demographics.
Okay, so you have 120 seconds to round up, Abdulakim.
I'm trying to, I don't know, my network has not been really fair. So on education, oh God. I don't know why I can't switch this. Oh gosh.
Okay, I think you should just talk through the presentation if you're having challenges with the dashboard.
Okay, we have education, and in education, we looked at out of school children, and we're able to, I wish this dashboard is to really guide me, but then let me just quickly go through the presentation. We have out of school children, and then in out of school children, all over the world, we have about 600 million out of school children, and then they vary from region to region. And then the sub-Saharan region of the world has the highest number of out of school children in primary school, with about 600 and with about half of the out of school children in the world. The next, we also in education too, we also have pupil per teacher ratio, and sub-Saharan Africa also emerged as the highest region with the pupil per teacher ratio, with Rwanda leading that particular data, and they have an average of about 60 to 65 students per teacher. And the first 5 countries in top 10 pupil per teacher ratio is in the sub-Saharan Africa. And what this tells us is that the sub-Saharan region of the world are not investing enough in education, and that has really affected the pupil to teacher ratio, which would also affect the quality of education they are going to receive. But one interesting thing about the government expenditure on education, I need this thing. Oh God. One interesting thing about government expenditure on education.
Thank you so much, Abdulakim. You've exhausted your time. I think other things you might want to say might be answers you would share with the board members, so that we don't spill this beyond normal. We've gone over 60 seconds beyond your allotted time. So thank you so much. We would have the jury members now look into your presentation. I'm sure there are a lot of things you had wanted to say that you were not able to touch. Perhaps maybe when the questions are asked, you can then defend yourself. But if your team members are also willing to, your team members are also ready to, which they should anyway, because it's part of the process, to add to your presentation, because I believe it's a group work and you've done it together. They can also bail you out, because everyone will be scored for this presentation. So we're going into the board member session. I don't know, Toyin, I don't know if you can hear me. Hi, Toyin.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, so yes, I can hear you. So we'll be starting with you. I think I have you first on the log.
Okay, thank you, Abdulakim, I believe that's your name. It's a shame that your network didn't allow you to, because it appears you've done quite a bit of work. I was looking forward to hearing about climate change and all the other tabs you had there. The first comment I would make is just in the future, you have 10 minutes. You should be able to structure, which point you're going to bring out. Because I think, first of all, the presentation was quite broad. 10 minutes would not have given you sufficient time unless you were racing through to get through, and show the depth of work that you have done. So my first comment is, sadly, one isn't able to make.
That's why I told you people go and check it.
One isn't able to, with what you presented, it's very difficult to get, what exactly you put into it. My next focus would be on a story. I would have loved to hear stories from your presentation. So for instance, when you're talking of average life expectancy across regions, being able to compare the data in South Africa with data in West Africa, for instance, will tell a very different story. And you would then be able to drill down on, what are the policies, for instance, that have improved life expectancy in one country or in one region as opposed to the other. You'll be able to drill down further and even come up and say, look, there was a certain policy that maybe one government in
I don't know if it's just me. I think Toyin, your network is freezed already. I don't know if it's just me.
No,
it's
hear
not just
again.
you, Jesse.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Let me see if I can reach out privately. Okay, while we're waiting for
maybe
Toyin.
I can just chime in there.
Exactly, Kayode, exactly.
So good evening, everyone, and team 2. I think it was very good in terms of the effort you guys put into the graphics. I think one of the things that we easily get that I've seen in some of the boards that I've participated is how much data fatigue that you go through in the preparation of your projects. And this is why it's always good, especially when you have a large data set like world population, to really, zone into specifics, define the parameter of your, what you're talking about in terms of what is the context. You were given the whole world population, you could have spoken about many things, and I think those were the tabs that you created. One point that I found quite interesting and that was missing was you spoke a lot about the variations in mortality rate, but I could not see that from your data. So you cannot, if you want to talk about things like that and come to a conclusion, then your data should be speaking about that. And one very key point that we always need to never forget is, Power BI tool, as well as any other analysis tool, helps you to present the data, but there must be some decision making that you want to come through at the end of the day. And probably if this is where you stand, then you're able to reverse engineer the presentation to target how your data needs to be analyzed to really empower you to make such a decision. So I think that was a little missing from what you presented. Maybe there was a little bit loss of time, but please always make sure that at the end of a presentation, you're showing, or the aim of a presentation to show specific decision-making parameters, or at least why such a decision was successful. And I think that was missing from what you showed. That is it from me in short. Hand over to another board member for your feedback.
Okay, Tutu, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
And so my question is very quick and simple. I just want to know, maybe because I think the presenter ran out of time a bit. So I'd like to know, what message did they want to communicate to us precisely, or what did they learn from their data that they think is important that we should know?
Okay, that's to you, Abdulhakeem, and then I think your team members should also be able to speak at this point in time.
Can I say?
And by the way, before you start, I just want to say thank you for your presentation and congratulations on completing the course.
Thank you very much.
Please go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I didn't know that. Okay, so it's very unfortunate the way the presentation went. However, I would like to also mention that we actually put a lot of effort into this analysis, and we were able to talk about education and what we think can improve the educational sector all over the world, because there's this disparity between regions, and sub-Saharan Africa still have the highest number of out-of-school children, and even literacy rates in sub-Saharan Africa is the lowest all over the world. We can also, we also talked about the expenditure all over the world, and then the lowest is still coming from that particular region. And what we can pass the message to them that government agencies, NGOs, private investors should please pump more finances into the educational sector, so we don't have large gap between the other regions of the world as well as the sub-Saharan Africa. We also talked about the health, and that was where I discussed extensively about life expectancy, neonatal mortality rates, and other factors that are very important under health. But it's unfortunate that my network was really bad, and it slowed down the process of presentation. But that's just it. But the message we are trying to pass is that we are at a particular stage in the world where this disparity is still evident, irrespective of how much has been pumped, irrespective of policies that have been rolled out across this sector, climate change, gender inequality, many of those indices like that. What I just want to put out there is that we still have a lot of work to do if we want to achieve that sustainable development goals in 2030 across the sectors that I've mentioned. In fact, in gender inequality, okay, in the last 10 years, that's been very, very good. Or let me say the last 20 years, that's been very, very good in terms of labor force for female, in terms of participation in politics, women who hold representatives or who hold a particular seat within the government has increased in the last 20 years. However, we're not there. So we should encourage regions or countries that have tried as much as possible to involve females in their development. But there are also regions of the world like the sub-Saharan Africa where female participation in politics, in the labor force is really, really low. And we need to make them understand that data-wise, they're not doing enough. We need to encourage them to do more through policies, through support, through grants, supporting female education, and many other.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We need to cut you here. Before we have any other jury member taking on your group, we would like to have other members of your group share insight into this so that it doesn't look like you're the only one who did the job. We have Chidiogo as part of your, as a member. Chidiogo, if you're on the call, can you please contribute to this presentation? Also followed by Zoba Uzodima, and then Afusat Nike. Can we just have you guys in just 60 seconds, just share your contribution to this work, so that we don't assume that Abdulhakeem did the work on, just by himself, because everyone will be scored. So Chidiogo, over to you. Chidiogo, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. If you're on mute, kindly unmute yourself. Okay, can we have Zoba, since we can't hear from Chidiogo? Chidiogo, we can't hear you. Zoba, can we hear from you? Just 60 seconds. Let's get your contribution to this work. So we don't assume Abdulhakeem did this project alone. Okay. Nike, can we hear from you?
Hello?
Yes, you have the floor. 60 seconds, please.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. Yeah. Hello.
We can hear you.
Hello, sir, please can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you speaking? I can hear you. I can hear you at the moment. Okay, I think your group is sending us a wrong impression that Abdulhakeem did this project alone, which is not good.
Hello.
Okay, you have 60 seconds to build your team out, so we don't assume that Abdulhakeem did this project alone.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you. Okay, I will come back to you. We need to move. It's past 60 seconds, and we need to move. So can we have Julian? Can we hear you from what you've seen so far? Do you have any contributions for them? The other guys will also make similar presentations. So we'll have other board members quiz them on it. Tony, we lost you at for a bit. We'll have you also when the other presenter comes in. Okay, thank you, Julian. We have you.
Yes, thank you, Jesse. So it was a great topic. I was really interested in your findings. Your dashboard looked really great. It's clear your team has a good handle of the Power BI tool. I thought that there could be a little bit more of the structure to your presentations. Like, to me, the recommendations were only starting to come out during the last question and answer. So I am curious to hear one of those. Just in terms of some feedback, sometimes we like to make a summary tab of the kind of the key findings that we found within our dashboard to speak to that, to give some recommendations. So we kind of see where we're going. So it's like giving the answer first, and then the following tabs are how we got there, right? So that'd be good. But overall, the dashboard was really nice. I thought you had good poise despite the obvious technical issues that you experienced. And yes, I would love to just continue to hear what the recommendations were from all the findings that you gathered.
So Abdulhakeem, you have the floor. That's the question from you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Julian. Very unfortunate, the situation of the technical issues. However, we have some recommendations outlined. Oh, I'm coming, I'm sorry.
Can you just share recommendations straight to the point?
Yes, the first recommendation is one, good population control, because it's evident that the available resources is not enough for the growing population. Two, investment in health within the sub-Saharan region. So they also, the third recommendation is under education, which is increase finance and investment in education across all regions like the the America region. They are doing great. At least they have about 90% literacy rates, 99% literacy rates across the region. However, in sub-Saharan Africa, we still have half of the population illiterate, and that's a very big gap. And the message we are trying to pass is that more investment should be there in the education. And even unemployment rate is very high in the sub-Saharan region. And the reason is multifactorial. So, and because students are not getting the right skills. So in the 60s, we used to have foreign lecturers take in this part of the region, they do take students, they teach students. However, we don't have something like that anymore. So part of our recommendation is that more experts in the educational sector across different disciplines should come in and invest more in Africa, not only in terms of finance, but in terms of knowledge as well, so as to bridge the gap between the educational sector. In terms of economy as well, the poverty is very high within the sub-Saharan region, as well as the Southeast Asia. And the reason is also multifactorial: increased population, government insensitive across the sub-Saharan and the Southeast Asia. So policy should be rolled out. There should be a particular target for GDP per capita, GDP per person, and like a support should also be made available for the poor people across this region, like we have it in well-developed countries. Also, in terms of energy, across sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, it's evident that the access to clean energy is very low. The access to clean energy is very low, and even access to electricity. Access to electricity is below standard. More than half of the sub-Saharan Africa are, like 50% of the sub-Saharan Africa are in darkness. This is
Okay,
very
thank
alarming.
Thank you so much. If we give you Abdulhakim, thank you so much. I think your recommendation is very spanning to 2030. Thank you so much. I think you'd have just listed, I have 5 recommendations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that we can run with that. Thank you so much. Julian, do you have any other questions for him? Francis, please get ready.
Jesse?
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, hi, Olisi. Okay, yeah.
Yes. So I just have a more of a comment really than a question for the team, right? The reality is that there is a lot of sectors they could have focused on, but because they don't have one focal point, it makes it quite difficult to follow what they want to convey. So the recommendation for the team and for the other teams as well is, can they please pick a sector, especially if you're dealing with data that is world population. There's a lot of focus areas you can work on, or angles. Rather pick one sector. For example, if the team wanted to deal with health or education, whatever the case may be, rather focus on education, drill into education and give us the nuggets of what you're finding on the data, rather than having a high level across all sectors, because it really distorts the message. I mean, I know dealing with world population, there's a lot of stuff that we want to say, but rather pick on one sector, focus on that, drill in and give us the the insights that you want to communicate. Nonetheless, I can see there's a lot of work that really went into the presentation, into working on the data. But let's just make the story a bit more refined so that we get the message out that we wanted to convey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We spent a lot of time on this due to technical issues from Abdulhakeem, but I believe, Francis, yours will be spot on. You have 12 minutes, like you've seen. I want to believe that we'll not have technical challenges from your end so that this can be crisp. So over to you, Francis. Thank you so much. We would have Francis next, representing Group 1. Francis, and your group members too should be ready to also take questions, please, so we don't have similar experiences that we had with Group 2. So you can unshare your screen,
Okay, allow me to share my screen.
Okay. Yes, you can do that now. So yes, Francis, you have the floor. Is Francis still on this call? You're on mute if you're speaking. Francis, you're on mute. You're speaking, but you're on mute. Someone needs to tell him that he's on mute. Just a chat.
What is this option?
I'm here.
You're on mute, Francis. We can't hear you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Actually, I was supposed to start the presentation, but I had an agreement with my group members, so Confidence will lead the floor. Confidence, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Confidence, can we see you, please? Thank you.
Confidence.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
So my name
Sorry,
is
no, you have
Confidence.
6 to wrap up your presentation, so you need to it's the wrong way. Confidence.
All right, thank you. Okay, so a good presentation has to do with an NGO focused on eradication of poverty, maternal and infant mortality, who has just repeated us as team members who are data analysts to identify regions.
Sorry, Confidence, you're speaking from 2 screens, 2 devices, so you're echoing. You may want to mute the other one where you are live on, so that we can just we can focus on the audio. Else there's an interference. So you have 2 devices active. All right, thank you.
Okay. So is it better now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'm actually using my phone so you can see my face, and then we have a laptop here where I'm looking at the presentation.
That's fine.
Sorry, we are trying to open the slide.
Maybe you start with introducing yourself while you're opening the slide. I'm sure you have a support where you are from what we see here, so that we can know you first, why that is being sorted.
Yeah. Please, can you open the presentation? Okay, so you want me to introduce myself or introduce?
Yes, while you're sorting out that, so we don't have everywhere quiet.
Okay, so my name is Confidence. Confidence is your chat, and we were talking about. Sorry, I need the presentation. The presentation itself. I'm so sorry. Just a minute. We are almost on it. Yes. Okay, so our presentation has to do with an NGO focused on eradication of poverty, maternal and infant mortality, that has just recruited us as data analysts to identify regions and countries where we can have maximum impact. So we are going to be talking more about poverty, maternal and infant mortality, right? So while my colleague is trying to show us the presentation slide, I'll just have to start with infant mortality. So infant mortality, poverty, and maternal mortality has actually been a serious concern across the world generally. So we have to, because of this research, we have to come up with identifying regions and countries where the NGO can have maximum impact, right? And then, so as regards infant mortality, 5 countries actually accounted for half of all newborn deaths last year, with Nigeria as second on the list. Actually, India topped it first, and then Nigeria followed, and then Pakistan with Democratic Republic of Congo. So as you can see on the screen, India accounted for almost 4 million infant mortality within a space of 2016 to 2020. For that of Nigeria, Nigeria accounted for 3 million infant mortality within the period of 2016 to 2020. And then it goes for the other countries. So we actually did for that of 10 countries: India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Democratic Republic of the Congo, China, Ethiopia, and the rest. So our next chart, infant mortality is was very high in 2016 as compared to 2000. That was year 2000. So in 2016, there were in 2000 there were about 9.99 infant mortality. But right now in 2016, as of 2016, it was much higher. So the proportion of deaths in infants increased from 41 to 46%. So the chart above actually explains it. So in the world, we have 4.4 million infant mortality in the world. That was in 2016. And in 2020, we have about 3.9. But as at 2000, it was about 9.99 infant mortality rate. So we are just trying to let you know that it has increased, drastically. So it needs to be worked on. So there are different, in as much as we're trying to get data on where this infant mortality took place, we also need to know what actually causes infant mortality. So we have birth defects that has to do with structural changes that are present at birth that can affect, the infants. You get to hear the news where twins give birth and they have this joint stomach. I don't know how to put it. So yeah, so those are parts of what causes infant mortality. So we also have preterm birth. Preterm birth actually occur before the 27th week of pregnancy, right? They give birth. Normally, it's supposed to be like 40 weeks, but when women give birth before that 40 weeks, let's say 37th week, it causes infants, some of the babies can actually die. Another cause is injury. So when women are trying to give birth, there may be some sort of oxygen deprivation, like a sort of suffocation that may occur, and it's also part of what can cause infant mortality. We also look at what we call sudden infant death syndrome that has to do with unexplained death, usually during sleep. And then we have maternal pregnancy complication, and pneumonia and diarrhea also causes infant mortality. Pneumonia and diarrhea actually are sort of infections. It stops the infections that occur in women when they try to give birth. So the chart you're looking at the moment has it shows infant mortality in sustainable development goal regions from 2016 to 2020. So in the world, we have about 20 million infant mortality rates in the world. In regions like sub-Saharan Africa, we have approximately 10 million infant mortality rates. So that's within 2016 to 2020. So this chart actually shows regions where there are infant mortality rates. So I wrote down here that, we wrote down here that one of the more ambitious targets of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is the commitment to end preventable deaths of newborn and children over the next decade. If this target is met by 2030, no country will have a neonatal mortality rate above 12 deaths per 1,000 births. A quarter of the current rate is parts of sub-Saharan Africa. We're just trying to say that as at now, we are having about, say, 48 deaths per 1,000 births. So in 2030, the SDG are trying to say that they are trying to put in measures whereby we will have 12 deaths in 1,000 deaths, which is actually way lower than what we are currently experiencing. So the most effective way to reduce infant mortality will have to be encouraging the mothers to go through maternal vaccination and breast milk, right? So we can control this by improving access to skilled health professionals during pregnancy. You know, during pregnancy, we have people who may be poor and may not have money or may not have the needed resources to give birth to their children. So they go into, having to do with quack nurses or people around them who have actually maybe experienced one or two ways of giving birth and all that. So we are saying, why don't we encourage or talk to the government to bring in like more skilled health professionals to people that cannot be reached, especially the poor people, right? So improving access to skilled health professionals during pregnancy and at the time of the life-saving interventions such as immunization, breastfeeding, and inexpensive medicines, increasing access to water, sanitation that are currently beyond the reach of the world's poorest communities. So these are what I explained earlier. We have poor communities who cannot be able to have resources that would help them stay healthy, keep their child healthy, and all that. So we also need public health agencies that can work together with healthcare providers, communities, and partners to reduce infant death. So I'll be talking about maternal mortality right now. Please.
Sorry, Confidence, for cutting you short. Do you have a dashboard you want to show us? Because you just have barely 2 minutes on the clock. Do you have a Power BI dashboard you want to show us for us to see, or so that it can make sense?
The Power BI dashboard will come in when my colleague Francis has something to say. He will run through the Power BI. How about that?
You have 2 minutes on the clock. That's what I'm saying.
I
All right.
totally understand. So maternal mortality has to do with death due to complication of pregnancy in women, and the dashboard has to do with it shows the percentage of maternal mortality in various regions. So in places like Eastern Europe and Central Asia, we have about 674 maternal mortality in the year 2017. So this pie chart is only it shows maternal mortality rate in the year 2017 for various regions. In sub-Saharan Africa, we have 533 mortality rates in sub-Saharan Africa. So from 2000 to 2017, the global mortality, the maternal mortality ratio declined by 38% from 342 deaths to 211 deaths. So if you look at the chart, you can see that places like South Asia, there was drastic reduction of maternal mortality rate from the year in 2017, which was 395 maternal mortality rate, it reduced in 2017 to 163, right? So I'm just trying to rush off since we don't have time. So this chart also shows the maternal mortality ratio in low-income countries. In 2017 is 462 per 100,000 live deaths versus 11 per 100,000 live deaths in high-income countries. So this chart has to do with maternal mortality in 10 countries from 2015 to 2017. So within 2015 to 2017, countries like Sierra Leone accounted for about 3,500 deaths in the country. So this chart shows about 10 different countries that accounted for maternal mortality rates within the year 2015 to 2017. So according to Fragile State Index, 15 countries were considered to be very high alert. High alert is more like countries who have tendency of having recording maternal mortality rates in the country, and there are South Sudan, Somalia, and Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and others. So this is just a table that has to do with the number of maternal mortality rates. So 94% of all maternal deaths occur in low and lower middle income countries. As you can see the chart, low income countries, we have 1 in every 45 encounter maternal mortality rate in low income countries. Right, in high income countries, 1 in every 5,400 encounter maternal mortality rate. So causes severe bleeding, unsafe abortion, and other causes maternal mortality rate. And women's lives can be saved if you give them access to high quality care during pregnancy, sensitize them on how to take care of themselves and be healthy during the period of pregnancy, injecting oxytocin immediately after childbirth and all that. So I'm talking about poverty. Poverty is a state of one who lacks a socially acceptable amount of money or material possession. So this chart.
Can you just summarize? Can you summarize this point, please, because your time is up? Yes, thank you.
So for poverty, we have China. China actually had about 6 billion, more than 6 billion poverty rate within the range of 2013 to 2017. And then we have regions like the low and middle income countries had about 30 billion poverty rate within the range of 2013 to 2017.
Okay, thank you so much.
In conclusion, the rates of maternal and infant mortality are high and at an unprecedented height. Poverty and lack of education influence the seeking behavior of rural women. It is therefore important to focus on an overall health reform program that will involve maternal education. So it's more like sensitizing women on how to take care of themselves, be able to give birth to healthy children, and be able to be alive for their children. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you have, Francis, do you have any contributions to make before the board members get on? So just to be able to give us the order, we have Lucy next, we have Mercy next, we have Shola next. So the next presenters in that order, Lucy, Mercy, and Shola. I think we have just 5 presenters. So get ready so that we don't have to call you. Please get your presentations ready. Everything you need to get going, please just get it ready while we are on group 1. So Francis, do you have any comments, addition, anyone before we get to the board members?
Good evening, everyone. Not really. I don't really have anything to say. My colleague have said everything. And
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Favor, do you have anything to make, any contributions? I think that you're the Favor and Carlos Sarah. Favor, you're on the call. Do you have any contributions to make?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, please, can you just 60 seconds?
Yes, my colleague has actually said a lot already, but we're also talking about poverty, where we spoke about, for the job we did, we spoke about causes of poverty. We spoke about how we can try to end extreme poverty and the conclusion. So for causes of poverty, poverty is not just lack of access to basic necessities like food, water, and education and all. There are different things that can cause poverty: discrimination, poor governance, conflict, exploitation, domestic violence, and a lot more. And how we should try, or we can try to like end extreme poverty. We just need, I think maybe better governance, new schools, medical clinics, access to good health, access to clean water, and basic amenities that we need. I think that will be able to reduce the poverty level that we have, because right now, I think that will be able to reduce the poverty level.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, that's all from group 1. We'll be moving straight to the board members to either ask a question, an observation, a recommendation for the group. So Tony, we didn't hear you finish with the group 2. So let us have you just tidy up with group 1.
Okay, thank you. Well done, confidence and team. That's group 1, yes. I have a question and I would have a comment once you answer it. For the causes of infant mortality, do you have data that made you choose or select those causes? And was the data ranked? If you go to the slide, I don't know if you can share again, where you have causes of infant mortality.
Yes. Causes of infant mortality?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure I got your question now.
Okay, you have a slide that says causes of infant mortality.
Okay.
Okay, on that slide, the question I'm asking is, how did you arrive at those causes? Are they, what data did you use to arrive at those causes? There are several causes of infant mortality, but you have like 5 or 6. So why did you choose those? Were those the main causes? Do you have data that that supports your selection of those?
Okay, actually, we researched on causes of infant mortality, and yes, we bragged about it, and these were the main causes of infant mortality in these countries and regions.
Okay, the next question I have, I didn't have it before, but I have it now. So you've been, the question or you had, or what you are trying to answer is, as a data analyst, you're supposed to help an NGO make a decision about which regions they need to support. So I just want to find out how you arrived at, as in which countries are your focus. I assume the countries you had mentioned. India, Nigeria, which other ones? You know, how did you arrive at that? Did you start out with the entire world or with just Africa and Asia, or how exactly did you come about selecting those countries?
Okay, so first of all, we got these data from sites like UNICEF, WHO, World Health Organization, and other health